Hey, I thought it'd be kind of cool to do some presidential stuff. Here, I'm over here now. No. Uh, you know what? Like presidential fun facts, that kind of thing. Because I'm a huge American history fan, and I think everybody should know about. I think we should all know our history, and not many people do. Um, and then it really breaks my heart that more people know the Kardashians and every real American real housewife of whatever, but you can't name a president to save your life. Who's the 15th president of the United States? James Buchanan. Most people don't know that. So I thought, do some fun facts. A few fun facts about some of the presidents. Stuff that we didn't learn in school, like the fact that George Washington's teeth weren't wood; they were hippo, ivory, and elephant tusks. So basically, there was a whole jungle roaming around in there. Thomas Jefferson, despite being one of the greatest presidents that we've ever had, hated public speaking. Only gave two speeches in his whole life. First term, second term, or two speeches as president. John Quincy Adams liked to skinny dip in the Potomac River. So if you Google John Quincy Adams, if you don't know what he looks like, Google him and then picture him swimming in the Potomac naked, and you won't get any sleep tonight. William H. Taft was the fattest president. He got stuck in a White House bathtub one time. Took several people to get him out. Google him too, and then picture him getting stuck in a White House bathtub, and again, you won't sleep tonight. James Monroe was the shortest president. He was 5'4" and less than 100 pounds. I'm 5'4". I'm a little bit more than 100 pounds. Let's see, what else we got here? The term "okay" comes from President Martin Van Buren, who was known as Old Kinderhook, because he was born and raised in Kinderhook, New York. That's where it comes from. So, okay. After President Bush Sr. vomited on the Japanese Prime Minister, a new word entered the Japanese language. Bushusuru means to do the Bush thing or to publicly vomit. Perfect. Good going, Bush. 6 presidents were named James: Madison, Monroe, Polk, Buchanan, Garfield, and Carter. Jimmy Carter was the first president to be born in a hospital. He was also the first one to go on record as seeing a UFO. Yeah, that's it. That was why he only served one term. My man, Abraham Lincoln, he was the only U.S. president who was also a licensed bartender. Pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool. Rutherford B. Hayes, he and his wife Lucy were, not drinkers. They didn't like to drink, and they forbade alcohol from the White House. Every member of Teddy Roosevelt's family owned a pair of stilts, including the First Lady. See, even I didn't know that one. I don't know why they own stilts, but hey, this is all fun, interesting stuff. Ronald Reagan, Teddy Roosevelt, by the way, was the youngest president, and Ronald Reagan was the oldest president. And you know what? It's escaping me. He was the youngest elected, I should say. Teddy Roosevelt was the youngest elected. What else we got here? The youngest president was Teddy Roosevelt. He was president at 42. JFK was the youngest elected at 43. I misspoke. Teddy bears were named after Theodore Roosevelt. James Monroe once chased his Secretary of State from the White House with a pair of fire tongs. Don't mess with James Madison. Don't get him. Fire tongs. I don't know what fire tongs are, but I'm guessing they're not fun. And I wouldn't want to be chased with a pair of fire tongs. Calvin Coolidge was known as Silent Cal because he didn't like to speak very often. He would have loved me. A woman author once said to him, "I bet I can get you to say more than 2 words." And he looked at her and said, "You lose." True story. Abraham Lincoln was the first to ever be photographed as president in his inauguration. Woodrow Wilson would paint his golf balls black during the winter so he could continue playing in the snow. That is the stupidest thing I ever heard. You know what? That's a dumbass thing to do. George Washington didn't have enough money to get to his own inauguration, so he had to borrow $600 from his neighbor. I would have loaned it to him. No president has ever been an only child, so kind of cool. Here's Calvin Coolidge, There he is, Silent Cal. Can you see him? No, maybe not. There he is, Silent Cal. So there's a lot of interesting stuff. I really do encourage people to, Google, look up presidents and learn about the stuff, that they don't teach in school, because this is really interesting stuff. I encourage everybody to look this stuff up. To learn more about our presidents. Lincoln was the tallest president. Jimmy Carter was a peanut farmer. A farming accident left one of his fingers permanently bent. Ow. Oh, and on that note, I'll say goodnight. So, you know what? Learn about our presidents. Never mind the Kardashians. Learn your history.